Here you have a super simple and delicious appetizer for your Valentine's dinner or any other special occasion where you want to have a puff pastry wrapped cheese. Welcome to the Culinary Cam YouTube channel, where our mission is to inspire you to get into your kitchen, use the ingredients that you have, and make a delicious mess. We are going to use a store-bought puff pastry to make a baked Brie appetizer that I love because it's a process and it's really flexible. In fact, I don't actually have Brie in my kitchen right now, so I'm going to use this soft cheese, but the process is exactly the same. So it's super easy because you're using store-bought puff pastry, and then you can use any jam or jelly that you like. And then for added texture, I just like using a dried fruit and a nut. And in this case, I have pistachios and raisins. Let's get started. So the store-bought puff pastry comes with 2 sheets, and you just defrost it according to the package instructions. So I'm going to pull one of those out because that's all I'm using for this. And then you'll see the other one in a comparison between a homemade puff and a store-bought puff. So all that you really have to do for a store-bought puff pastry is defrost it to the point that you can unfold it without it cracking. And then you can use a rolling pin if you like to sort of smooth out those really distinct troughs in the square. So the filling really depends on the size of your wheel. This is a 3.5 ounce cheese wheel. If you're using a 4 ounce, it'll be slightly bigger, or there's even an 8 ounce or a 12 ounce. Since this is just for us, the 4 of us, as a little starter bite, I'm using the smallest one, plus this is what I have. So again, you typically do this with Brie, use whatever cheese you have. Because it's so small, I just did 1 tablespoon of pistachios, 1 tablespoon of raisins. You can use any nut or any fruit that you have. I use 2 tablespoons, so the same amount of dried to wet of jam. And this one is an apricot pepper jam that's local to us. It's from Hollister, and my son picked it up at the farmer's market. You're just going to use a fork to kind of make that into a combined mixture. I'm going to round out this puff pastry a little bit, just take the edges off, and then I'm going to use those to make a little bit of a design on the top of the puff later. Okay, so you take your filling, which again is the jam, the nuts, and the fruits. You're going to put that in the center of your puff. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. And you're going to take your cheese. Ooh, this one's especially gooey. So this ended up being a lot more gooey than I expected. It is a softer cheese than a Brie, and it really doesn't have the rind or the crust. So it's actually perfect for this because it will be a little bit more self-contained. So you have your filling, you have your cheese. I'm just going to do an egg wash around so that it will stick together. So 1 egg, lightly beaten. And then you just take a pastry brush, and I'm going to brush all the way around it. It's sort of like culinary glue. It's going to make this puff pastry stick together for this side. And then its function on the outside is a little bit different. It's actually going to make it brown a lot nicer. This is a little smaller than I thought, so it may actually be a lot of puff pastry. So you're just going to take that and fold it up, and you're just going to go all the way around. And you're going to invert that. You can kind of make it round if you like, nice and pretty, and you're going to put it in your baking dish. So as I said, this can be used for any appetizer, any special dinner, but because I'm doing this for Valentine's, I'm going to cut one of these into a heart. If you have tiny heart cutters, even better, but I am less precise, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to take these triangles, and I'm just going to cut them into strips. So still the glue, but it's also for browning this puff in the oven. I'm just going to brush this lightly over the top and all those edges. Then I'm going to take these strips that I cut, and I'm just going to make them into little decorative twists. I'm just going to brush those so they will brown nicely as well. And I'm going to take my little heart, and I'm going to put that right in the center. And there you have a cheese and jam filled puff pastry. That's a great appetizer. This just goes into the oven at 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes until this puff is beautiful golden brown. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so this has come out of the oven and you need to let it set a little bit, or when you cut into it, it's gonna ooze all that delicious cheese out. Now remember, we made this with store-bought puff pastry and it's super fast. It's on the table with an elegant looking appetizer pretty quickly, just in the amount of time it takes for you to assemble it and bake it and let it cool. So you just put it on your serving platter, surround it with some delicious bread. It can be homemade or store-bought, whatever you want, and you are good to go. Here you have a super simple and delicious appetizer for your Valentine's dinner or any other special occasion where you want to have a puff pastry wrapped cheese. And if you like that idea, check out our other appetizers on our playlist and enjoy. So if you like this video, please click like and definitely hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.